been down under, visited Australia?
No, but I really, really want to. It's like bucket list. I've been on that side of the world. I've gone to Japan. So
Yeah.
I've done like a long flight. So it's not even at this point I can do the flight. I'm not even worried about that anymore. So I really want to go.
You were almost here. Japan isn't that far away.
I know. I was like, we could just extend our trip like a week and just go to Australia, just like for fun. It's right there.
Your movie Bystanders, it is getting released on the 21st of January. Is that correct in the US?
Yes, yes, it is.
That just happens to be my birthday. So I'm going to remember this discussion for the rest of my life.
Wow, happy early birthday. That's so exciting. That is so exciting.
It's funny I can celebrate two birthdays because I'll be having it my time and then it'll be the 21st again your time.
Exactly.
Cool. Before I get into my questions and a lot about the movie, the title, was it always going to be Bystanders or did you have something else in mind? Because there's a lot happening in this film of yours.
Yeah, so Jamie Alvey, who wrote the script, the title was always Bystanders, and I wanted to keep it. I love a good single word title. I think those are always incredibly effective. And I
Yeah.
think it gets the point across pretty well with this movie. So it was always that. There never really was a discussion for any other title but Bystanders.
Yeah, cool. No, it suits it, but I'm always interested to know if working titles, on films and that, it's
Oh
always.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
No, for sure.
I mean, the crux of the story or how it begins is to do with a wedding and a bridesmaid experience. Is that something that Jamie and you have done? You sort of writing what you know, or is it just all completely just made up for the horror genre?
So Jamie had like wrote this script, I think, based a lot on her anger after the Brock Turner case, and was writing both from the experience, of being a teenage girl and going through to what teenage girls go through, and then
Yeah,
also, you know, there's also something with weddings that it's the formality of the wedding outfits. I think that was like really appealing, that kind of duality of violence versus what people are wearing, and I think that was kind of the source of that for her,
yeah.
and in making that visually come to life, I think was really fun, and having and taking what she had written and putting that on the screen was a really enjoyable experience for sure, and making that contrast such a focal point of the film.
Are Jamie and you friends, old friends, or did she sort of handpick you as a director? Like, how did it evolve this project?
Yeah, so Jamie wrote this in 2017 and she posted about it on Twitter, and I read it in 2018, and I knew her from, we were both freelance writers at the time, wrote
Yeah,
for similar outlets, and it was that connection on the internet you make with people about who are like have similar interests. And I at the time was getting my master's degree in Chicago, and I was specifically writing my master's thesis on women directed rape revenge films, specifically Revenge by Coralie Farge. And so I was really
yeah.
excited when she posted the script because it was something that was so up my alley. So I read it, I loved it, and wanted to be involved with it somehow, but didn't know how to be involved because I was just a writer. I didn't know anything about production.
Sure.
But fast forward to 2021, I got my job at Dread Central, where I'm editor in chief. And while I've been at Dread Central, I've also had the opportunity to help work in kind of development and production with Dread, which is the
Mm,
sister company, Epic Pictures horror label. And I've been like really, really lucky to get to kind of help develop some projects and executive produce some projects. And I specifically projects that were like ultra low budget. So like micro budget indie stuff, which I love, which was like very up my alley. So
yeah.
I brought Bystanders in as a script to for us to produce as a micro budget film, because the script could easily be made for low amounts of money for what we were trying to do.
Sure.
And after bothering my boss for a while, he said, "Okay, let's make it. And do you want to try to direct it?" And I said, "Oh my God, I've never directed anything. I don't know. I don't know." And he said, "You obviously have a passion for it. Like, let's try it out." And I said, "How could I deny such a cool opportunity being kind of dropped in my lap?" So I know how lucky I am for that. It was an incredibly lucky, but I learned a lot and I loved every second of it for sure.
That's so you were an accidental director, basically.
Yeah, kind of. It's weird, right? I know. I feel it's a very weird place to be in, but I'm glad I took the chance on trying it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm guessing you'll do more directing, or is this a one-off? Are you keen? Have you got the bug?
I do have the bug. I don't have anything I've written yet. I don't have anything
Yeah,
I'm attached to. I've been
yeah,
so kind of wanting to get bystanders out the door, but
yeah.
I really want to work on a found footage project. Found footage is my favorite, so
Oh,
would love to work on a found footage movie next.
like music to my ears. I love found footage. It's a genre that it can be either great or not that great or really terrible, but I just love them all. I watch as many as I can. I really enjoy found footage.
Yes, they're my I mean, I'm wearing a Blair Witch Project sweatshirt. Like it's
Yeah.
my favorite subgenre. So yeah, that's what I'd love to do next. Absolutely.
The structure of bystanders is not. I mean, it flows, but there's it sort of opens with a moment, but then it backtracks 18 hours. So you're following characters, but you kind of don't know what's going to happen. Was that always going to be the case that you had like flashbacks and so forth?
No, actually. So that came in the edit because
Right.
the way it started initially, like in the script with Claire and Gray waking up in their bedroom.
Yeah.
But I think we looked at the edit without that kind of cold open, it well, one, it's kind of it felt cliche to open it on like an alarm clock, and I think I wanted more focus to kind of be on Abby as the woman as like the survivor, and I think
Yeah.
introducing her early on and showing her face first was important to me in terms of establishing her arc and like foreshadowing her arc, and so while we were in the edit, I had the idea of putting that that moment towards the front and bringing that kind of to the forefront at the beginning,
Yeah.
and then going into introducing Claire and Gray. So yeah, that was in the post production process that we kind of got
Yeah,
to.
well done, because I have a feeling that it sort of it enhances the storyline because you're now engaged on what has happened and what is about to happen, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a simple change, but I think it made a huge difference.
Mm.
In the editing phase of the whole process.
How would you describe yourself as a director? Are you laid back? Are you very assertive, or have you got your head down in the script all the time, or behind the camera? Like, how would you describe yourself?
I it's a really good question. So I'm definitely a collaborative director, I think.
Good.
I like I like having the script, and we worked from this, obviously used the script a lot, but I really loved some of my favorite moments, especially from Garrett Murphy as Gray, come in from him ad-libbing a little bit and kind of
Yeah.
adding his own little flair to everything.
Right.
I like I like I guess I would consider myself a director who really encourages actors to follow their instincts to a
Mm.
point. It was interesting finding that balance between like wanting to let people experiment, but also being like, okay, we have to move on. You know what I mean? Like, because we only had 12 days, like, and it was like that balance of wanting to let people play, but also being like, we only have like nighttime. Like, we have to only shoot at night because, and it was the
Yeah.
summertime. So the sun came up way earlier too because it's short nights.
Okay.
But as a director, I would consider myself like definitely very collaborative, and I don't I like getting kind of like down and dirty with actors. I'm not going to like sit in a chair the whole time and like call from a hill. I'm usually, like, people tell you, like, I'm in the dirt with them and stuff like that. So yeah, a collaborative, creative, like, not afraid to get her hands dirty kind of director, I think is how I would describe myself. And a little bit
Well,
of a
that's good.
goofball, definitely
That's
a goofball.
it's good to hear. You're not sitting back in a director's chair with your name on it, drinking coffees. You're into it.
Yeah. Oh no, it's like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. So
Yeah,
might as well, like, really get into it. And I had a great time. It was like camp.
that's good. And you mentioned micro budget. I mean, you don't have to tell me the budget, but does it put pressure on you as a director? You know, you're thinking you've got to like line up scenes and the weather, and you're in on location, being micro budget, or you just, you know, that's it. You'll just go with it, and hopefully it'll turn out.
I mean, this is the thing. Everyone, no matter what budget they have, always wants more money, is what I've
Yeah,
learned. Like, I've heard people who had like millions of dollars, like, I wanted more. But I think what I really learned was how to embrace the limitations, and like how to be creative and how to figure out cool ways to pull off impressive kills with one production designer and like not a lot of resources. And it was such a different way from how I'm used to using my brain, like, in my everyday job. And I loved
right.
it. Like, it was really helping. It was really this creative problem solving side of my brain that I love to use. And I used to work in like digital producing for television. And so I used to do that. And I haven't used my brain like that in a while, like in that same way in a while. And it was really amazing to like stretch that muscle of creative problem solving every day. And, again, we didn't have a ton of money, but because we knew that from the beginning, we knew how to prepare.
Yeah,
That was something I really learned, was like, we had a week of pre-production. So we were doing pre-production for a while in terms of like adjusting the script for location, finding location,
yeah,
casting, but we had 1 week of like in location pre-production. And that week was where we planned out every single day and a plan B and a plan C for what would happen. So, and that's how we made our days though. Like, we only had 12 days, and it was the summer in Kentucky. It was going to rain and storm randomly. Like, we knew that was what to expect in the summer. So we
yeah.
had to be ready. And because we were so prepared, it really did make it way easier. It was still difficult, and there were still, issues still arose, obviously, but like, we were so prepared that other problems that came up, we could handle them really quickly because we had a good plan.
It sounds like you're pretty well organized, Mary Beth, which is a great thing, not just behind the camera, but you know, collaborative as well. That helps a lot.
Yeah, it was because I produced this movie as well, because
Mm,
again, like, we were a tiny crew. So like, I had I was like, iPad, an Apple Pencil, and a massive checklist with like subcategories. I had a
yeah.
binder with like tabs. I was just like, all right, everybody, like, we got, like, this is everything you have to get done before this day. And I was like, my like our producer Jeff Seaman, who like was producing, like fully producing, I was basically keeping him in line to make sure we had everything done. Like, it
All
was
right.
crazy, but as we had to be, like, I don't know how else you could do it. Like, thank God I'm like type A and love a good checklist. You have to have at least someone on your filmmaking team who is like that. I think that's the only way you're ever gonna get anything done.
And you were mentioning 12 Days in Kentucky. That's a good name for a found footage movie. 12 Days in Kentucky.
That's
I don't know.
actually oh wait, that's an incredible name for a found footage movie, actually.
It might be. Yeah, my brain's ticking over now. Uh, so you worked in television or digital production. How did you come about being in film and so interested in What's your movies? What's your background? Did you grow up and want to be a filmmaker or a writer? How did you get into the business?
Yeah, so I have loved horror movies since I was too young. I saw Jaws when I was 4.
Yep.
So I grew up with this like fascination and love of horror movies, but I was also very easily scared. So, you know, it was my mom's worst nightmare
Right.
when I couldn't sleep at night. But I've always loved horror movies and I've always wanted to be a writer. I've always loved writing
Yeah.
and English class and reading. I've always basically loved doing homework for fun, is like what my friends make fun of me for doing. So I went to college wanting to like, be an English major, and then I discovered through a horror film class that, oh, you can be a horror film academic and like write academically about horror movies. And that kind of changed my whole life because I started thinking about, you know, like journalism and what that could mean like
Yeah.
with horror. And so fast forward, I worked in TV and I also was doing freelance writing on the side. I
Yeah.
kind of knew that journalism was really is difficult to get into full time, as a
Mm.
lot of us know. So it was a side hustle for me while I had like full time job.
Yeah.
And then during the pandemic, I was considering. I worked at a nonprofit in DC. It was an animal shelter. I was doing social media there. I wanted to leave and I applied for a job at Dread Central, thinking like, well, this will be a cool thing to kind of transition into. And it turned
Yeah.
into editor in chief. And I was like, this is the dream. I get to write about horror for like this is the best. And then I had never wanted to actually filmmake. I make films. I thought I would be terrible at it. I don't know why. I just kind of thought it wasn't for me. I was not like built for it.
Yeah.
But I was wrong, obviously. Like I had a good time and I'm pretty proud of the product.
Yeah.
uh I shouldn't call it product, but that's what but I'm really proud of it. And you know, every step of my career has been like kind of like a what, huh, cool, neat, like unexpected but like in an exciting way. And so this is just another one of those like what, okay, kind of moments that I'm stoked about it. It's pretty cool. That's I would never would have expected it, but I'm not mad about it either.
Oh, I'm glad to hear you're proud of bystanders, and so you should be. But was there ever any time where you doubted yourself, or that first audience that you showed it to? Who were the first people you showed the final cut to or a working print to?
um Oh God, yeah. I mean, I'm still like a little nervous. I mean, like I'm gonna be
Oh,
nervous, but
really?
I'm still like, oh. But we showed it for the first time. We showed it to an audience at Horror Hound,
Yeah.
which is a like a biannual convention slash film festival in the States in Ohio, and
Yeah.
we played late at night at midnight, and I was like, oh God. And it was actually surprisingly full for as late as it was, and people really responded to it. They laughed at the right parts, they gasped, people were really into it, which was like really exciting because I had watched it so many times and had seen it in so many different forms, and I was like, this is just
Yeah.
I can't have an opinion. I don't know anymore. Is any like I think it's good, but like I don't know. And every we won some awards at that festival, which was really cool. And every screening since has been really great in terms of audience reaction. It's just been like super rewarding, especially to have women and young women come up to me after watching it.
Yep.
And I'm still, I'm nervous for it to come out. It's a pretty like, unabashedly political movie, but I'm excited hopefully for it to speak to people too. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll get to the female strong points and the standout cast members, and we'll discuss a little bit of that. But first, I just wanted to know. I mean, and I think I know the answer to this. Was there any other time that during it that you thought you're going too far? I mean, it's brutal and it's genre. I get it, but were you thinking, no, no, maybe hold back a bit, or just yourself and Jamie said, no, let's go for it?
We actually made it more violent than it was in the script.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you pushed it more.
we pushed it more actually.
Okay, because it is quite brutal. And I mean, not that it bothered me, but I know some directors or writers can change things or make it not as graphic, to appeal to more of a demographic, maybe. I don't know, but you're saying you made it more violent.
Yep. We
Yeah.
did. We added a whole scene with the frat boy that was not in it before and made his death longer and a bit more torturous
All
than
right.
we had initially planned. Yeah, we added more violence actually.
Well,
And
I
that
was
was
wrong.
like that was
I was going to
yeah.
say, I
Did you
thought I
think?
knew the answer, but I didn't know the answer. That's good to hear.
Yeah, no. We never pulled back. We never pulled any punches. And like that was kind of the ethos behind the whole thing was you see so many horror movies about hurting women and putting women through the absolute worst shit you can imagine.
Mm,
So let's do it to guys this time and like kind of
mm.
flip expectations on it their head. So yeah.
It's becoming more of thankfully, a common trait that there are more female protagonists and tables are turned, not just in genre, but in movies and filmmaking in general. Have you noticed the slide upwards for female representation and so forth? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think that especially because I've been so interested in like, the female directed rape revenge movie like Revenge, but there's been movies like
Yeah,
This Plays Julie, Violation, these
yeah,
movies that there's not a lot of them, but I feel like, Blink Twice came out last year, Zoe Kravitz movie, and these
yeah,
movies I think are coming out and are really important. And I also think like more women in general, I think Poorly Farge's The Substance came out this year and it's like one of the best movies of the year. I think
yeah,
there's always going to be problems with representation. It's never going to be perfect, but I do think that we are in an era where women are being taken more seriously with their stories and are allowed to also make movies that aren't just about certain things or like rom-coms or like they're like women are allowed to be weird and like there's
yeah,
finally just like saying like oh yeah okay like chicks are freaks too and can make weird gross gnarly violent movies. And I think
yeah,
more and more like in the cultural zeitgeist we're leading into that, and I for one as a weird girl who likes making weird violent shit feels real good about that. So it's like to see Carly like this her revenge just like changed my life, and to see her get so much attention for this new one makes me so happy because it just makes me feel like all right, this one's for the weirdos. Like the weirdos can like do and make weird shit and it can get
yeah.
recognized. It's just like really it's really encouraging and amazing.
Well, every movie you've named, I've seen, and more than once. I mean, I saw The Substance 4 times when it was released here. I had to see it in the cinema. It was so good. And Blink twice, I saw twice. Among all the others, and Revenge, I went back to after The Substance came out just to revisit it. But you have good taste. But I would love to know, any of your favorites, or have you already named them? Those ones.
Of like the rape revenge ilk.
Yeah, yeah,
So my favorite Revenge is obviously a favorite. Violation from 2020 is a
yeah. It's great.
favorite.
Yeah.
Um MFA is also a favorite, which is Natalia Lee directed it and it's written by Leah McKendry. And that
Right.
was a big inspiration for bystanders.
It was? Okay.
Yeah, it was especially in this like portrayal. It's different but like talking about vigilantism and like thinking about vigilantism and that kind and like in college culture.
Yeah.
And those are definitely my favorites
Okay.
within like the modern rape revenge canon. There's also a good one called Traps. That's it's from the 70s or 80s. Vera Chailatova is
Yeah.
a uh Czech director, and she directed this like weird rape revenge movie called Traps about a veterinarian who castrates men. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's another good one to check out if you're looking for something a little off the beaten path. Oh, I'm sorry, it's from 1998, not the 870. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good choices. And I love your way of thinking. And I do think that you're going to be behind the camera, putting your creative talents to more work. But yeah, you got to release Bystanders first. And are you going to be nervous on Tuesday when it comes out? Like, are you gonna read the reviews, or what are you going to do on Tuesday when it's released?
Oh, think I'm gonna just like turn off my phone and sit in the dark. I'm gonna try really hard not to read reviews. I definitely read reviews out of the festivals. I couldn't help
Yep.
it. And I really need to not though. I don't want to like drive myself crazy because I already know some people are gonna hate it, and that's their right. People are allowed to hate it, but it's just gonna be very, it's already like in
Yep.
letterbox very much like either you're a person who gets it or someone who is like, this is stupid woke bullshit. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's I think I just have to for my own sanity, not look. We'll see how well I hold to that though.
True. Yeah, I was gonna say, don't turn your phone off for too long because you might have some studios giving you a call. You never know.
Yeah, well, hey, you know what? We're manifesting. We'll manifest it.
I'll join in on the
Manifest
manifestation. I will help you out any time.
it. Thank you.
Now the cast, Brandi Botkin. I'm hoping I'm saying her name right. As Abby,
Yeah.
she was pretty solid, and I wasn't really aware of her work, but I'll be looking for her future projects. How was she to work with?
A dream. So Brandy actually was in another Dread film called Bag of Lies. It was another one of these like smaller
And
movie
you were
projects, and
you
she
were a producer on that?
no, I didn't produce that one. I just, I whenever we put out these, like, when Dread puts out these movies, we watch them and like we provide support from Dread
Yeah.
Central. So I've seen all of them, and she was so good in that. And I had seen
Mm.
her in that, and my producer Jeff, because he's in Cincinnati, he knows her from the Cincinnati film scene, and he recommended her. And I said, "Oh my God, I've seen her in a film before. She's incredible. I would love to like have her in the movie." And she was just a dream. She wanted nothing more than to do this movie justice and like do this movie right.
Yeah.
And it's a hard role for to be in. Like we put her through a lot, and she was just so open to everything and was so gracious with her energy and her time, and it was just like a joy to work with her because she's such a good actor and really is so respectful of her craft and of the stories we're
Yeah.
telling. And yeah, it was just like it was also like just really easy to direct her too, which was like so nice. I was like, thanks for making my job a dream. Like didn't I just it wasn't difficult at all. She just, she knew what to do with the character, and it was amazing to watch her take
Yeah.
Abby on this arc, like the arc that she follows throughout this movie, which I won't spoil.
Well, that's what I was going to say. She diverts your attention in some ways at the start as one person, but she's got this controlled character that changes, and her acting is equally as controlled. And I just thought she was really impressive. That's why I wanted to bring her up. I'll be watching her
Yeah.
career move forward, I hope.
Yes. Yes, please, because she's a dream. And if you're looking for someone to be in your movie, she's the best. Highly recommend.
And Hannah as Heather, another standout, I thought.
Oh, he has Hannah Fierman. Oh my God, it
Yeah.
was so cool. So Jeff, Jeff, my producer, knew Cheney Morrow and Hannah Fierman because they were in his movie Terror Trips, and so I knew Hannah Fierman from VHS, of course, and I knew Cheney from the new Wrong Turn movie,
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh my God, if those two in a movie I directed, like, are you joking? Like, it was just so cool. And talk about easy. It was the last night of filming. They roll up on set and they just go for it. And like they had already played a married couple before actually in Jeff's
Oh,
film.
okay.
So they were just like pretending to be that couple again. And it was
Yep.
so cool to watch, and it was so easy and just delightful. And
They were
also getting
spontaneous. It worked.
and also just like I don't know, I got to kill Hannah. I got not kill, but I got to direct Hannah Fierman getting murdered. So like that's pretty cool too, you know?
Well, that's got to be fun. Yeah.
Like
Uh,
weird things to put on your resume, like directed these genre actors through their deaths. It's neat.
No, it's something that you'll never forget. It's your first movie. You were sort of thrown
Yeah.
into it in a way you weren't expecting to do it. You know, a couple of years ago, you might not have expected to be directing a film and
Yeah.
anticipating a release. So it's such a cool thing to have on your resume, and it's only going to get bigger for you, I hope, as well.
Me too. We'll see.
And of course, Jamie Alvey, when you've got someone who's the lead or one of the main cast members, and then also the writer, does the things get a little bit tension, or was it all good? Like, honestly, I'm assuming it was a really good relationship, but were there ever any times where the writer went over to the director and said, no, we can't do that?
No, well, no, because I think what was really helpful was the fact that I've shown a lot of love and interest for this project
Yeah,
since
over a
2018.
long
And
time.
yeah, so, you know, Jamie and I kind of had like a mutual understanding of what the movie was and what it
Yeah,
needed to be and what it needed to not be. And I think once we were on set and we kind of like we had a talk of like it's time for you to shift into actor mode, and like, you've really done so much work for so long, and now it's time to be like actor Jamie. And if I need to change something, we'll obviously talk about it, but like we got to have like trust to make sure that if I've got to change, if something needs to change, it's for the good of the movie. It's not an ego thing. And I think there was a
yeah,
really good understanding there that there was no ego involved. It was all about getting this done in the best way possible, even if it wasn't exactly how we imagined it. And regardless of how we had initially imagined it, it looks better than anything I could have we could have imagined. And I know we're both just so proud of what it ended up being, especially
mm,
with the resources we had. So it was definitely just a lot of trust
mm.
in and understanding that we knew that I knew what the movie was going needed to be, and she could trust that I wouldn't deviate from that kind of path and expectation.
Yeah. And we've not talked too many spoilers, but how it ends. One, was it an original ending? That's how it was written. And also, it seems open. So, is there further adventures that could come about?
So the ending, it is not the original ending, because the original ending, uh a
Okay.
cabin's lit on fire.
Okay.
We couldn't light a cabin on fire with the budget we had, unfortunately. So we actually adjusted it to what it is now. And the parents at the end was actually an addition that came in later as well, too. Um, so the ending, the very ending during the credits was always there, but how we got there changed a lot for what we had the capacity to do realistically.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can't always light a cabin on fire without $1 million or a bigger budget. So I understand why you had
Yeah,
to
it's a
change
little
it up.
hard to light a cabin on fire in the middle of Kentucky with not with less than $100,000. So,
Yeah.
we had to get a little creative.
Yeah, no, I understand. Now, I noticed in the credits there was a lot of thank yous to the catering, the craft services. There was a whole list of people who obviously cooked on set or businesses. I really like that touch that you named them by name and thanked them.
Okay, thank you so much for bringing this up, because I think we ate better than any set has ever eaten, because so we
Yeah,
filmed in Mount Olivet, Kentucky, which is like a tiny, tiny, tiny town, like two restaurants, one stop sign, not even like not even a stoplight town. But
yeah.
they were so excited that we were filming there. Like when my producer Jeff got there, he introduced himself to like the everyone that worked in the town at the town
Mm,
hall. Everyone knew who we were. Everyone was so cool, and everyone wanted to help. So we had so many people wanted to help. and we didn't want to make anyone mad. So we had like
Right.
a schedule. Like I literally was the one building the catering schedule and figuring out who was catering what day. But
Nice.
we had the most delicious like southern food, homemade food. There's a woman, her name is Stacy Jett. She's on a barbecue show on Netflix now. Like she
Okay.
is like an award-winning chef who catered like 5 days of our food, and she said, "Oh yeah, if you want any more, just let me know. I'll slaughter the chickens tomorrow." Like she freshly slaughtered chickens for us to eat that night. It was so good. It was like the best food I've ever had. And every night everyone was like, "Why is this food so good?" So like that whole town just banded together and wanted to help. And there were so
Mm.
many people that catered or lent us like a crossbow for free, or like we had one little girl who wanted to visit set because she loved horror movies, and like we taught her about movie making, and now she wants to be a director because she came to our set. Like just cool stuff like that. It was a really cool experience, like to just meet everyone there. That was like a really cool unexpected part of the whole experience, was getting to know the town and like
Yeah.
making friends with a lot of the townspeople who were like so excited we were there.
Well, as an entertainment journalist and movie analyst, and I'm like a sponge, I take everything in, and I read credits all the time and take notes. But I noticed you said thanks to the Jet family, and you mean obviously Stacy and family. That's really cool.
Because her daughter, like she brought all of her kids, and like we showed the kids fake blood. Like they would bring like their kids, and we'd show them the fake
Cool.
blood and like the costumes and the cameras. Like because the parents would be like, "Can we bring our kids to the set?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." It's not that exciting, but they were so stoked. Like, but we also were like very careful to explain what it was, because we were like,
Sure. Yeah.
it's a scary movie. That's
Yeah.
it. Like, but it was it was a really awesome, especially because I live in a city. I'm not a rural person, so like to get kind of a just a different experience, like life experience outside of like my worldview too. It was just like
Right.
it was amazing. It was just like a really cool place to live for 3 weeks.
And you made a cameo. Was that by choice, or were you like, was it something a role you had to fill?
It we cut it That was cut. The cameo was cut. It's not actually in the movie. That it's on IMDb before we ended up cutting the scene, but I was the voice of I was Ellie. I was Claire's sister on the phone for an early scene, but
Right.
the early scene just like it ended up not fitting, and so we cut it out. But that was out of necessity because it was just a voice on the phone. So I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
I
okay. Because
can do
I was
I
gonna
can
say, I was just going to say, like, I will a second time when I watched it and realized you could have been in it, I couldn't see you, so that explains it. I thought you
Yeah,
had
I'm
that cameo.
not actually in it. Nope. Deleted scene maybe, but no.
Yeah. Are you looking at doing physical media copy of it? I mean, special editions and
I
physical media is so popular. I mean, myself, I'm buying them all the time, and they're a thing. Are you thinking of doing that?
I would love to. Um, it all depends on how the movie does on
Yeah.
VOD. So if you want a Blu-ray, rent the movie and show people that they want it. So I think I really would love a Blu-ray, but it's up to my distributor. So if you guys like it, leave good reviews and watch it and stuff, and tell your friends so we can get a Blu-ray.
Yeah, well, I'll do my best to get the word out, that's
As
for
you can
sure.
tell, I obviously also love my Blu-ray physical media collection. So
Yeah. We other than directing films, you and I have a lot in common, which I think is fantastic. And before I don't want to keep you too much longer. I've already spoken to you at length, but anyone, and I'm sure there's a long list, who you'd like to collaborate with? Is there a dream, someone you'd actually like to either act with or direct? Any collaborations that could happen one day in your dreams or for real?
I mean, wow, that's a good question. I haven't even thought about that. I mean, like, I honestly would love to direct Micah Monroe in something. She's just so cool and
So
so
good.
versatile, and I just love the way that she always looks like she has a secret. And I feel like she would just be such a joy to work with. I would also love to just work on set with Osgood Perkins. I don't just like shadow him or something. Like I don't know. I just would love to watch him work. I would also really love to watch Coralie Farge work and
Yeah,
follow her and watch her process and learn from her. That would be incredible.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, at the time of us speaking now, David Lynch passed away a couple of days ago. It kind of affected me. You know, I mean, most people in Hollywood and that I grew up watching, when they pass away, it does affect me. But David Lynch a little bit more because I just know his work so well. Obviously, you would have been a fan of David Lynch.
Yes, he was like one of the directors I really wanted to meet or interview, and I
Yeah,
unfortunately never got the chance. And
yeah,
I'm not by any means like a stranger in saying like he shaped my young life. I saw Blue Velvet when I was too young. I watched Twin Peaks a lot. I just everything about his work
yeah,
influenced me to realize you can be a weirdo and you can also be a really kind and loving weirdo, and there's nothing wrong with
yeah,
that. And it's just such a beautiful thing, and his art is just so fucking unique and weird, and I'm so sad he's gone, but he leaves behind quite a legacy, that is for sure.
yeah. Yeah, I did a mini tribute to him on television this morning in my weekly news report, and he wasn't just a writer director to me. He was a creator, and he he knew what he was doing, but he wanted to confuse the audience. He wanted the audience to keep guessing, and I love that about him. Yeah.
Me too.
Can you
Really.
surf? Have you ever been able to surf, or can you surf?
No, I want to learn, but I never have.
Okay. And final word on bystanders in your own words as the director, and you know you've worked hard on it for many years, as you said. Why should people watch bystanders? There's a lot to choose from when it comes to VOD or scrolling through what to watch.
If you're looking for a movie that's angry, bloody, a tight 82 minutes, but isn't too preachy, I think you should watch Bystanders. We are living in a time that is very angry, and this movie is coming out after the inauguration in the United States. I think there is a lot of frustration, and this movie is a really good way to process that frustration, even if just for 82 minutes. So, yeah.
And you can think of me because it's my birthday. So I'm pretty stoked with that. Just thought I'd throw that in again. Uh, you did mention, what just something just popped in my head. You did mention a tight 82 minutes, or yeah. Now, is that
Yeah.
were you guys conscious of that? Because as much as I hate to say it, a lot of people want a 90-minute movie. If it's any more, they don't. Often I've heard people say, no, that's too long. Were you aware that you wanted to go under 90, or was that just how it worked out?
That's how it worked out. Like I knew as a critic, like you got to have a discerning eye here about like what we need to keep and what we need to trim, because this is an indie genre movie. Like I know what people's attention spans are, but I
Yeah,
also think that it's the kind of movie that needs to be quick, especially in the edit, and seeing how it was unfolding in certain parts and seeing the pacing. It was a movie that needed to move quickly, and because it happens over one night, it also just it moves
yeah.
quickly because it's taking place quickly. And I think that I didn't really have a goal for the length, but I am happy with the length. I think it makes sense for what the movie is.
Oh, look, a few extra seconds for your phone call in the movie. That would have been worth it.
I don't think so.
No.
I'm not that good.
Ozploitation is very huge, not just in Australia, but you know, all around the world. I'll finish on this. Have you got an Australian film or genre or something that you just love? Is there anything?
I love many Australian movies, but some of my favorites are Lake Mungo is one of my all-time favorites,
Yep, right.
forever and ever. The Loved Ones is
Yeah,
also a massive
yeah,
favorite.
that's an all-time classic for me too.
And then The Tunnel, the found footage movie, The Tunnel.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting because that I remember when that was released, and there was a bit of fanfare, but it picked up over time. It picked up cult status over time, and it was filmed
Yeah.
in in the we don't call it a subway, but in the the train systems in Sydney. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's
they just did
cool.
a restoration
Mm,
last year, the year before, but I
mm.
watched it a long time ago when it was on YouTube and it looked like shit. And I was like, this movie rules. And then it got a restoration. I'm like, oh, I can actually see what's happening now. It was very exciting. But those are I love Australian horror, but those are like my three favorite. I really also love Hounds of Love, even though that movie is harrowing. I very much do like that
Yeah.
movie as well.
See, that tells me you've got a broad choice of things that you like to watch, because just naming those Australian movies, they're almost all on different platforms. It's fantastic.
I love weird shit. The scarier and the weirder, the better.